It's the most wonderful time of the year, but for some people, holiday excitement mixed with family drama can lead to anxiety and dread, but it doesn't have to be that way. Psychologist Dr. Michael Klein joins us now with tips for a happier holiday. Welcome, Dr. Klein. Thanks for being here. So, why are the holidays such a touchy time for people?
So for many of us, the holidays have a lot of positive and negative emotions. Each year we see the same arguments, same jabs, same rolling eyes that could lead to anger and resentment.
And this is an important one. How can people manage their expectations?
Manage your expectations first by having fewer expectations and expect the expected, which is you will likely be triggered. We know the people who will be there, the same anger triggers that will come. So in that sense, anticipate ahead of time and prepare.
So let's look at some of your suggestions for keeping things light. Tip number one, simple but effective avoidance. Tell us what that means.
Sure. So there's a number of different avoidance strategies. One would be to, let's say, arrange seating so that you're not looking directly at the person who maybe you tend to have conflict with, or you're further removed from that person. And if you can't avoid that person, we can try an escape strategy. And that might be with someone else having a signal where you will be asked to go into another room or get a phone call or simply excuse yourself for a couple minutes so you feel at a better place.
Okay. Tip number two, remove rigid rules. What does that mean?
So the way that we speak to ourselves and our thoughts and our words can be very, very extreme. We want to be aware of extreme language, such as, I can't stand another evening with my family. We want to remember that we've dealt with this many times, we have in fact stood it, and we likely will stand it again. In addition, with the rigid rules, we want to think if we're setting ourselves up for failure. So if I'm already saying, if my mom makes one more comment or compares me to my siblings one more time, I'll just lose it. Rather than losing it, we can try a different reaction, such as ignoring a comment that we don't like to hear, shrugging it off, or even giving an affectionate hug to, let's say, a family member who really just, in their own way, wants what's best for us.
And another suggestion is to de-escalate.
Sure.
Explain that. That can be tricky, I think.
Definitely can be tricky, but with practice it can be easier. So often we unknowingly escalate an argument. If someone offends me or if I'm insulted, when I ask a question like, why are you getting on my case? Why can't you stop badgering me? I really don't want the answers to those questions. Frankly, what would be better is to pose an assertive statement with a plea for help. For example, I'm having a tough time discussing this right now. Could we table it for another day? It would mean a lot to me. And then just leave it there and don't add more fuel to the fire.
And your last tip, I think, is extremely difficult for some people, but forgiveness. Talk about that.
Sure. So unforgiveness, which is harboring grudges, having revenge fantasies, can be unhelpful. It binds us to a situation, it keeps us in a victim role. What we want to do for forgiveness is it's actually a change of perspective, where we consider this person, let's say the object of our anger, as a complex person with many different aspects, and we want to find compassion and understanding for that person. And remembering that forgiveness is for us. It's for us to have a happier and healthier holiday season with less anger and less resentment.
And finally, if we can't change people's behavior, what else can we do?
So we can influence people sometimes, but really the goal is to change our own thinking and behavior and to keep our eye on the prize, which is the goal of changing ourselves for the better and thinking differently to have less resentment, anger, and more forgiveness.
All right, a lot of good tips to keep in mind. Thank you, Dr. Klein.